Okay, we are live. Good evening. Let me call to order the Hanover Selectboard meeting for December 8th, 2025. Looking at the agenda, looking at my fellow select board members, are there any items on the agenda which you might wish to reorder? Okay, let us turn to public comment. This is the period of the agenda when the public is welcome to address the select board. We ask that one addresses issues not already scheduled on the agenda. We ask that individuals restrict their comments to 5 minutes. Questions will be directed to the chair, and we may or may not take questions. Are there members of the public who wish to address the select board at this time? David, if you could please come forward.
My name is David Vincelette. I live at 93 Lebanon Street, Hanover. I'm a retired veteran, 25 years of service. I swore to uphold the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. I'm still alive, so I still have the oath to follow. I know for a fact that this board, members of this board, plus this town manager, Robert Hausman, violated the constitutional rights of my family and friends who we were sheltering. Although I tried to bring an action against the town to police up its asphalt waste dumping operation that polluted our water, along with Dartmouth and several other agencies in Hanover, the hospital, Tuck School, Thayer School, they all had an asphalt pile where they ground it up and ran it up all the way to the top of Moose Mountain and dumped it where I had land along Mink Brook we were drinking the water from. When I complained, they took my land. They bulldozed my houses and they continued to pollute the water. It took 13 years to get them to stop polluting the water. And this board has yet to have a meeting on the agenda to discuss what they did or to apologize for it. This town board has 3 Dartmouth officials on the board. They've had that for the last 20 years. While I've been complaining about Dartmouth polluting our water, they've had a quorum on the board against us so that nothing we propose goes forward. Recently, they had a biased policing discussion. I came to the board and I explained to them that their police are already violating their biased police protections and allowed us to be held without our constitutional rights for 25.5 months. Now, during that discussion, they brought up the fact, or you brought up the fact, sir, that the federal government might be in violation of due process for the way they were treating people in America. That's what you offer. Is that correct?
I did make a comment to that effect.
Yes, you did, didn't you? Do you have a job in the government? You do.
Well, I have a municipal job.
Oh, you have a municipal job. And what's that job?
David, I think you know very well.
I don't. I'm trying to figure it out.
Chair of Select.
How long have you been the chairman?
It's my 2nd year.
Okay. I've asked you questions to be answered. You told me you were going to do it. You didn't. You lied to me. You lied to my face. You lied to everybody who watches on closed circuit television. You asked about due process. We were held for 2 years. We weren't even charged with a crime. You want to talk about a lack of due process? I came to this board repeatedly, begging for somebody to help us. The selectman, Rob Hausman, town manager, all refused to put us on the agenda. My wife is a Ukrainian Jew. She was an immigrant at the time we were held. We were held for 25 and a half months. Nobody came to check on us except once. We had no drinking water. We had to drink from the brook. We had no income because our road was closed off. These are state and federal crimes which you have refused to even look at, where people were violated in your town. And you have the nerve, as a Democrat stooge in this town, Dartmouth Democrat stooge, who would dare to insult the president and the Republican Party for trying to stop murderers and rapists and criminals in our country. And you won't even look at what has been done to me by this man who is a criminal. He's a federal criminal. I have him on tape. You won't let me use the board to show the video. Sons of bitches, evil bastards.
Are there any other members of the public who might wish to address the select board this time? Lisa, please state your name and where you live, please.
Sure. Good evening, members of the Hanover Selectboard. Good evening, Mr. Housel. My name is Lisa Cloytree, and I am a resident and homeowner who lives along the Hanover-Etna border off of Greensboro Road. I'm grateful for the opportunity tonight to share a few brief comments about one of our family's most beloved aspects of living in Etna, in Hanover, which is the Etna Library. The magic of the Etna Library begets the question of where to begin. My reflections tonight will only scratch the surface. You understand why the Etna Library is listed on the National Register of Historic Places as soon as you walk through the door. Time moves differently in this library. Warm wooden floors and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with children and adults literature are one of the first things you notice, along with a warm welcome from librarians Jeff or Sarah. Depending on the time of year, sunshine filters through the windows, a breeze eases through the front door, or a warm, gentle light beckons us in from the snow and cold. In a world where escaping the pace and demands of life is increasingly difficult, the Etna Library offers an immediate, tangible, and familiar place for respite and connection. One of our most cherished times to visit the Etna Library is Monday afternoon, when Lego Club is the main draw. My 9-year-old son takes a different bus home from the race school on Mondays, often with his friend Spencer, that drops him directly at the Etna Library, where he and friends from Hanover, from Norwich, from Fairleigh, and from beyond the Upper Valley sit together and build around the single library table, sharing and swapping Lego bricks, ideas, and conversation. Jeff and Sarah know all of these kids by name. Parents, grandparents, community members, and caregivers sit amongst the kiddos and build and foster connections with both new and existing friends and neighbors. Depending on the weather, we either share window seats or the couch, or we sit outdoors on Adirondack chairs in the small garden while kids come and go from inside and outside. The first Lego Club of each month has the draw of pizza from Ramunto's. Last month, the combined Lego Club with pizza fell on the Monday immediately after daylight savings ended. It was also the day after Halloween, which is not an easy evening for parents with young children. The cozy one-room library buzzed with over 36 kids, building Legos, eating pizza, and reading books while parents and grandparents engaged on the periphery. Quite literally, the Etna Library was a bright beacon, a refuge for both body and spirit within the Etna Village on that dark, cold Monday afternoon leading into the shortest days of the year. Most of our visits to the Etna Library conclude with an exodus to the outdoors for romping around the trails, scaling the rock, whose size and stature inspire endless imaginary play, and climbing the trees out front, where kids hang off the branches like the monkeys in the classic children's book, Caps for Sale. In a single visit, the library fuels our need for both pause and movement. Librarians Jeff and Sarah are the lifeblood of the Etna Library's beating heart. A seamless team, they provide thoughtful and bespoke programming that spans considerations for culture, art, culinary, history, and generational interests. They exude boundless patience, grace, and curiosity as kids and adults share a small space and the energy of a single-room library. And most importantly, they make the Etna Library a place where everyone is known and everyone belongs. While my comments have focused on the younger crowd's connection to the Etna Library, we adults equally derive tremendous benefit and pleasure from the library. It is a neural connection to the broader Hanover library system that affords residents and neighbors of Etna an anchor for both community and intellectual engagement. I often wonder how many people live in Hanover or drive by the Etna Library every day without knowing or experiencing its treasures. Whether you seek books, knowledge, community, or connection, the Etna Library has something for everyone. It's an absolute gem. We are grateful every day for its existence, and we are grateful for the continued public support and resourcing of this vital community hub. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there others who might wish to address them?
Yes,
Okay. Scott and Spencer.
Scott and Spencer, yes. So Scott Hammond, I'm an Etna resident. This is Spencer, he's also an Etna resident, and we're here to speak on behalf of the Etna Library. Reviewing prior meetings, I am not trying to imply that there is not support for the Etna Library. We understand there is, and we appreciate that greatly. The way the democratic process works, though, is that the populace lets the elected officials know what is and is not working in their community. And I want to definitely let you know that the Etna Library is unequivocally working. I could go on and on about the different programs that Sarah and Jeff run. Lego Mondays, which we hit on before.
Craft Tuesdays.
Craft Tuesdays.
Start first Tuesday of this year.
Craft Tuesdays are the first Tuesday of every month, actually.
Okay.
And the first Monday of every month is the Pizza Lego Monday. But Jeff and Sarah also have all kinds of different programming. We were like knitting, yes. We moved up here from New York City, a town of 8 million people, and my wife and I were a little apprehensive about what we might find here in Etna. We walked into the Etna Library, which is a one-room library, and we said, this is about right. Sarah and Jeff warmly greeted us, which we said, this is about right. And then we looked on the board at all of the different programs. In addition to the Lego Monday and Craft Tuesdays, there's 10,000 Years Ago in New Hampshire. There's the Live Free or Die license plate special. There's graveyard sleuthing. There's haunted Halloween walks, which you would think would be related, but they're not. There's also Stuffy Sleepover, where kids can bring their stuffies to the library, and the stuffies have a fantastic evening, and Jeff documents all of their adventures in, I believe it was a 53-point slideshow presentation last year. Every year we get more and more stuffies. We very much appreciate our library over at Etna. Jeff and Sarah do a fantastic job. We wanted to let the select board know how much we appreciate our library and how important it is to the community. And I think the genesis behind Jeff asking people to come and speak to you about it is because he gets one shot every year to talk to you about the Etna Library. I believe there's a budgeting process every January. So he thought it would be important for you to know how much we appreciate the library. Again, as part of our civic duty to let you know how much we appreciate what's working in the community. I presume there's going to be a budgetary ask associated with this. I think that's part of the budgeting process. I'm not that privy to it, but I have built a number of houses in the community. I think the tally is roughly about $100,000 of gross tax revenue every year. There's another $30,000 coming online this year. So whatever Jeff's budget ask is funded already, I assure you. And as I do, I encourage you to do with Jeff, just say yes. He asked us to come, we came. He asks us for X, we do X. He asks us for Y, we do Y. They're a great resource. They're great people. And the programming is something that surpasses a city of 8 million people. So we have a treasurer and we wanted you to know about it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
Anything else to
Scott.
add?
Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you, Spencer.
You good? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other members of the public who wish to address the select board at this time? No. All right, seeing none, let's move on to business requiring discussion, the first item of which is social service budget presentations. And thank you, Rob, for putting together 486-page packet. Is that right? The number of pages? And anyway, a wealth.
Yeah, 86 or 86.
A wealth of information, and also thank you for the introductory documents that summarized it for the benefit of both the select board and the public. Did you want to make any introductory comments?
The internet's really slow, so I might need you to make things bigger, because I usually can. I can kind of see right now, but yeah, perfect, thank you. I usually follow along.
David.
The gentleman that was sitting on my lap, left his phone.
Oh, he got his phone.
Thank you.
Because he's swearing at us.
It is really slow. I mean,
Like glacial.
I can't put it.
Are you on
I have Wi-Fi, yeah.
the 5?
Maybe I should, I don't know. Maybe I could just tether up the phone.
So I've compiled a list. I would suggest we go in order because the reports are in order. Youth in Action is first. Is Youth in Action present or online? If you're online, please raise your hand. If you're here, let me know.
If people are here, should we do the people who are here?
We can change up the order.
We could, yeah.
Youth in Action is a student from the high school. I have the only person raising their hand is RC, and I don't know who that is. So if Youth in Action is online, please raise your hand.
Public Health Council. Unless you want.
So the RG are the initials of the person for the Youth in Action. First name RONG.
Hang on a minute. So I'm happy to, who's in the room?
I'm with West Central Behavioral Health, which we're third.
We can do that.
Then there's 3 other groups maybe.
Listen.
Grafton County Senior Citizens Council.
That's 3. You should do them first. I think.
Is it Dee Dee?
Dee Dee.
Yes, okay. Do you want to come forward?
Sure.
Dee Dee? Okay, thank you.
My name is Dee Dee McHugh-Tishner. I'm a development specialist with West Central Behavioral Health. For those of you that may or may not know, we have clinics in Lebanon, Newport, and Claremont, New Hampshire. So I'd like to thank the board for your continued support over the years on behalf of our staff. And just, I'll go through some of the numbers for the therapeutic services that we provided in fiscal year 25, and specifically Hanover. In Hanover, we performed 490 therapeutic total number of services to 20 Hanover residents, including 3 children and 17 adults. A number of these services were provided by our ACT team, which is Assertive Community Treatment for an adult resident of Hanover. Assertive community treatment includes going to the person's home, providing medication, checking on the person so that they can live in their residence of choice, and doing what they need for that person's well-being and mental health care. Of those services, one was a crisis call, which our mobile crisis team was mobilized through the New Hampshire Rapid Response Point. And all of these services are for clients with severe and persistent mental illness living in Hanover. So your support through the town of Hanover helps us defray the cost of the services, does things like decrease law and police intervention, and also helps the well-being of the people that live in Hanover with the need for mental health care, our therapeutic services. So we thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much.
For me?
Appreciate all that your agency does. Questions about West Central? Thank you very much for, thank you for submitting all of the paperwork.
Yes.
I know it's a lot, so we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, Christie.
Page are they on?
60. Thank you.
Hi, I am Christy Lennart Reichert, Executive Director at Listen Community Services. Thank you for having myself and my colleagues here tonight. So when someone is struggling to put food on the table, keep heat on, stay safely housed, Listen is often the first place that folks call. Right now, as we know, the need is rising in many different ways across the Upper Valley. In the past year alone, Listen has served 8,377 individual neighbors in the Upper Valley, which is 900 more than last fiscal year. Here in Hanover specifically, we supported 68 households, which equates to 143 residents last year. That number has more than doubled in the last 5 years. So the value of services provided to Hanover residents in FY25 was over $82,000. So in FY27, we're expecting to exceed $90,000 based on the current need and the major reductions that we're seeing coming out of the federal government. We're asking for $10,000 this year, which would cover just 11% of the support we anticipate to provide Hanover residents next year. It's a very responsible request, I personally think, that will help to defer costs. So you may or may not know the different services we have. We have a food pantry, which everyone is able to come to. We also have a meal program in White River Junction where folks are able to access hot meals. We have housing and heating assistance where we're providing that for clients who are coming in off the street. We have thrift store gift cards that we provide for people so they're able to get basic needs and clothing for their families, school supplies, summer camp scholarships, and a few other smaller programs. Every single one of these services prevents crisis from becoming something worse. And when Listen is able to fill those gaps, the town of Hanover avoids those bigger expenses on your safety nets. So this is a cost-effective partnership for the town. Every dollar invested in Hanover residents receives this essential support. So I just want to thank you all again for considering the request. And of course, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. And if I don't have the answers, I'd be happy to follow up.
So I think last year was the first year that Hanover supported Listen, and we know you've had your challenges in the last few years. How's that turnaround going?
It's going great.
Okay,
It's an awesome
great.
organization. So we're just committed to building out the infrastructure and keeping things stable during these difficult times.
Yes, terrific. Well, we applaud you for all the work that you do for the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions for Christy and or about Listen?
This is really not related to your organization, but I'm just trying to understand the main drivers of people's needs. I mean, what is, in your mind, what is increasing the number of people that you have to serve, that need services?
Yeah. So for example, at the beginning of November, when the SNAP, that SNAP pause happened, that was obviously really challenging for folks. And so in preparation for that, they were coming to us more often. We saw a huge spike in numbers, both at our food pantry and our dining hall. We've already heard from our clients that they're receiving $500 to $800 less in heating assistance. So we have seen a steady increase in that particular program. And we know that when we look at the one big beautiful bill that our current president is put out there, that those cuts are going to be happening over a period of time. And so we're already seeing some of it now, but some of it is anticipating what that's going to look like in the future. There's a few other examples that I could offer if that's helpful, but those are kind of the two bigger things. Housing assistance, I guess, would be a big one as well.
Because you talk about the government side, what about what people are able to do? Is that becoming more difficult as well?
I think it is. So what we've seen, it's interesting statistic, is almost 50%, I think it was 45% of our care coordinators' time went up this past year. So that's a big spike. What's happening is when folks are coming in, it's not just the assistance that we're providing here, but it's also helping to find employment, helping to find housing. And I think that's a factor as well. When we're able to support folks to do that, we obviously will.
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for your work.
Is it Wise?
Grafton County Senior
Oh,
Citizens
Grafton County,
Council.
sorry about that. Okay, are you Kathleen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yes, 74 to 85. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you all for having us and for your support. My name is Kathleen Vasconcellos. I'm the Executive Director of the Grafton County Senior Citizens Council. This year we are asking for $12,000 in support from the town of Hanover. We operate the Upper Valley Senior Center in Lebanon, as well as the Aging and Disability Resource Center and the RSVP volunteer program. Our mission is to enrich the lives of older adults and individuals with disabilities by creating opportunities for engagement, fostering healthy aging, and delivering compassionate support. Some of our services include Meals on Wheels, congregate meals at our senior centers, transportation, door-to-door transportation to medical appointments, grocery stores, pharmacies, all essential destinations, as well as the senior center. Activities and assistance from outreach workers. Our funding request is $1,000 more this year than in the past few years. We haven't had an increase in our request for about 6 years. And the cost of doing business is just increasing. So wages, food, supplies, and everything, utilities across the board. So that's the reason for that request. Last year, we served almost 4,000 meals just for Hanover residents, 3,800 meals, 269 rides on our buses, dozens of activities. And we also, I think it's important to recognize that residents of Hanover volunteered 616 hours of their time to volunteer at the senior center. So that's delivering Meals on Wheels and other activities at the senior center. So much appreciated there too. And I'll just note that this is a really difficult time for organizations like ours. I'm sure everyone would say the same, but specifically Meals on Wheels organizations, we're seeing across the country that some are implementing waiting lists, and we're trying really hard not to put anyone on a waiting list. So right now we're able to serve all in need, and your support really helps us to do that. So I thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Just to follow up on what is making Meals on Wheels? Why is it becoming a wait list? Is it you're less able to supply, or is it more people?
So it's a combination of both. So we do receive some federal and state funding, and that has been level funded for years. So as we're serving more people, the government funding at federal and state level is not keeping pace. And it's becoming more and more challenging to fundraise to fill that gap. So organizations are kind of feeling that squeeze, and some are faced with having to tell people that they don't have the government money to serve them right now, and they'll serve them again when the new fiscal year starts. And that's just a heartbreaking decision that we are trying very hard not to have to make.
And the number of people you provide services for, that's increasing?
So
Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels, agency-wide, so at the county level, it increased about 10% last year. So it's, we don't see that changing as the population ages. And really at the core of what we're doing is help people remain in their homes safely as they age. And so that's just a more and more needed service.
Thank you. Any other questions from Kathleen? On Grafton County Senior? No, Center? Okay, thank you, Kathleen.
you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Do we have other agency representatives? Not seeing any. Rob, how are we doing?
Zoom room.
Zoom room, yes.
Do we have anybody here to represent Youth in Action? Please raise your hand. Use the raise your hand icon. I have a Matt McKinney. Matt, are you, Matt, unmute yourself. Are you here to speak to Youth in Action?
No, I'm here with Headrest, and I'd written it in the chat. We'd gone by it, so I raised my hand.
Okay, we're dealing with everybody in the room, and now we're moving to Zoom participants.
Okay.
So let's see if I can zoom out. Now I'm lost. Youth in Action has nobody represented.
Why don't we go to Matt?
Matt, thank you. Perfect.
No. That might be a good idea.
Headrest.
Headrest?
71.
Thank you.
Matt is representing
Headrest.
Headrest. Hang on. You just threw my system out.
Sorry, Rob.
Matt, can you unmute yourself and present Headrest?
People can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present on behalf of Headrest. So Headrest is a nonprofit recovery organization located in Lebanon, New Hampshire. Our request is $2,500. Headrest also operates the 988 crisis line for the state of New Hampshire. So we have a 24-hour crisis hotline that's located on Hanover Street in Lebanon, where we answer all of the state's crisis calls to 988, in addition to all the chat and text calls that come in. So in 24 and 25, we answered almost 12,000 hotline calls and just over 3,000 chat and text requests. And then at the recovery house that's located on 14 Church Street, that has 12 beds, we housed 75 different or individual residents throughout the year. Headrest has gone through a transition in 2025 related to the fact that we used to offer clinical services, and it was a treatment facility. We have had to transition to a recovery home from as a result of our need to be able to sustain. We weren't able to generate enough revenue based on the shift in the funding landscape to operate as an inpatient 3.1 level clinical facility. So we worked with the city of Lebanon, grateful for that, to transition to a recovery residence or recovery home. And again, we've been funded by Hanover in the past. We appreciate the support. And in fact, we appreciate the support of many of the organizations and nonprofits that are on this list, and some that have spoken out, or many or all that have spoken out today. But appreciate the opportunity to represent the organization, and grateful for the work that we get to do in the Upper Valley and throughout the state, and appreciate the City of Hanover's support.
Thank you, Matt. Are there questions for Matt about headrest? Seeing none. Thank you, Matt, for all the work that headrest does, and for you also. We appreciate it. Do we have other speakers?
You need to go in order on the list so I can keep track. Bear with me a moment.
So where are we going next?
We're going to go to, I have nobody representing Youth in Action.
Okay.
We have WISE is next.
Peggy O'Neill,
So there,
page 13.
thank you, Rob. I'm Carrie.
Yep.
Do I have anybody representing WISE? We will go to visiting nurse and hospice. Do I have anybody representing visiting nurse and hospice? Please use the raise your hand icon. I will move to Valley Court Diversion. Anybody wishing to represent Valley Court Diversion, please use the raise your hand icon. I will move to Good Neighbor Health Clinic. I'm going to promote you to panelist. Please accept. The application. Rebecca, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the board.
I'm not able to connect at all. So I'm wondering,
Yes, to get
because a lot of these people came in a snowstorm last year. Right?
I think it was horrible weather, wasn't it?
It was horrible weather and they showed up.
There were
So-
still some people on Zoom too.
Yeah.
There's somebody.
Just chatted. She just.
Did you see in the chat, Rob?
Yeah, yes, I've got it up. Let me share chat.
But it works.
Rebecca, can you unmute yourself? Says, my name is Rebecca Brown and I'm here representing Good Neighbor Health Clinic as the Marketing and Development Coordinator. Good Neighbor Health Clinic is a nonprofit organization delivering free, high-quality medical and dental care in the Upper Valley, helping Upper Valley residents facing financial hardships to live healthier lives. In 2025, so far, we have the opportunity to help care for 16 Hanover residents with upcoming changes to insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, and increased premiums. We expect the need of our services to continue to rise. We are requesting a slight increase from past funding to $8,000 this year to continue to support the wellness of individuals who fall through the cracks in the traditional health care system. Some program additions this year are adding a new point of care diagnostics lab to perform 9 diagnostic tests and adding a harm reduction vending machine that has a cost-free resource available 24/7, 365. Why she can't unmute herself?
She typed all that?
She did.
Yeah.
Well, that was good.
That was good.
Good job.
Thank you, Rebecca. Are there any,
She said, thank you.
thing we want to, any questions you want to chat with her too? Are you guys good on Good Neighbor Health? Yep. Okay. Thank you, Rebecca.
She apologizes, saying her laptop is stating I have no connect microphone for some reason. A connected microphone. Thank you so much for reading this. Okay. You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I will demote Rebecca. Twin Pines. Twin Pines, please raise your hand.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Hi, this is David Crandall. I'm Director of Development at Twin Pines Housing. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our supportive services program, especially at our Summer Park property in Hanover. But first, just a little bit about Twin Pines. We are a nonprofit developer, as many of you know. We have 665 units throughout the Upper Valley, and that serves over 1,100 residents. And we have 118 units in Hanover, which serves about 200 residents. Now that includes Guile Hill, which is managed by a third party, and then it also includes Summer Park, which is 42 residents. So Summer Park is for seniors, ages 62 and over, and people with disabilities. And typically the residents there make about 60% or below of area median income. And they wouldn't pay more than 30% of their income for rent. Importantly, throughout our portfolio, 45% of the people who come to us have either experienced homelessness or the threat of it. Which sort of underscores the vital role that Twin Pines plays in the Upper Valley. So our resident supportive services team is now fully staffed. That was not the case last year, but it is this year. And that's one of the things that why we're asking for an increase this year. We have 5 team members, and so we're really pleased about that. And what our team members do is connect residents at Summer Park with all the different nonprofits that are listed here. From the Good Neighbor Health Clinic to Listen to the Upper Valley Haven. So we help them with utility assistance, financial coaching, SNAP benefits, food access of all kinds, whatever we can do to keep them healthy and housed. And so that's what we hope that will continue. We do reach out to other entities in Hanover. I know the Hanover town nurse, Doris, we have a great partnership with her. The high school students at Hanover High School do art projects for Summer Park. I know they come twice a year and do put up art in the hallways. So we do try to reach out into the community in different ways. But, without Twin Pines, Hanover would have problems. I mean, affordable housing is essential for the fabric of the community, and without us, there'd be more housing insecurity, homelessness, and just economic inequality. So I'll end by saying we're very grateful for our partnership with the town of Hanover. Your past support has been pivotal as we serve Hanover residents, and we're really grateful for it. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if I can't answer them, I'll get answers to you. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Questions for David about Twin Pines? David, the 5 staff that you mentioned, that's not just specific to Summer Park, is it?
No, that's a good question. No, that's a portfolio wide. So, yeah, we do have weekly office hours at Summer Park. I should have mentioned that. It's 7 hours per week, providing on-site services. And so we have one staff member who focuses on that property. And if she can't make it, then another person is like an alternate.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions for David? No. David, thanks very much. Thanks for all that you do for not just our community, but the Upper Valley. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you for having me here and for all your support.
Tri-County Cap, I believe that's Janaea.
Hi, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. Okay. Good evening. Thank you for having me, the Board of Selectmen in the town, for all your support. I just wanted to say my name is Janae Smallwood. I am the Municipal Funds Coordinator for Tri-County CAP Community Action. Again, thank you. And also I wanted to thank you for last year's funding of $10,000. We are greatly appreciated. 42% of our clients are families with 2 working parents that cannot make ends meet. We are seeing increased needs with shifting federal funds and increased costs for families. Tri-County CAP has streamlined our requests by submitting 1 application per municipality, covering all services we offer. In the town of Hanover, these services are fuel and energy assistance, housing stability services, 211 homeless call response services, USDA TFAP food services, also transportation services, Head Start. We also have Aging Disability Resource Center, Tamworth Dental Services, Weatherization, Guardianship, and our free diaper program. We also have Community Action Resource Coordinators in all 3 counties, Carroll, Cowas, and Grafton. This year alone, we served 43 individual families, households in the town of Hanover, and the total value of serving is $20,013. Fuel and energy assistance, 43 clients, evaluating $12,273 in direct assistance. Guardianship services, 1 client equaling the value of $2,487. On our coordinated entry 211, we had 1 client with that value of $1,467. Again, making this total $20,013 in direct assistance. I can have anybody answer. I can have questions if you would like. Can't talk right now. Nervous. Hello?
Yes, no, we're here. Thank you, Janelle.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Looking around, are there questions for Janelle on Tri-County?
So the request is for 23/7?
Yeah. Yes, that is, ma'am.
It's a formula-based request based on our population, $2
Okay.
per person.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me, and happy holidays to you all.
Thank you. You also. Appreciate that. Okay. Yes.
Special Needs Service Center. Please use the raise your hand icon. Excellent. Please unmute yourself. Kate?
Hi there, my name is Kate Medeiros. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Special Needs Support Center. Our mission is to create a community where everyone can belong with a focus on individuals with disabilities. We have been in the Upper Valley since 1979. In fiscal year 25, SNSC provided 645 hours of direct service to Hanover residents, including 329 hours to youth and 316 hours to adults with disabilities. We do this through advocacy, collaborating with the schools and the families. We're able to spend time with the families, educating them on what they're able to ask for, making those meetings go more smoothly. We run Camp Aspire, which allows working families to continue working, even when they have children with profound disabilities that are not accepted at other camps or programs. In addition, we run several weekly programs that enrich the lives of our participants. We have a number of businesses in Hanover that we are currently working with in terms of accessibility consulting and our disability-friendly certification. We are directly working with Hanover through our collaboration with Dartmouth Policy Research House on the local need for accessible housing. The amount requested is the same as received last year, which is equivalent to about 2% of our budget, while 25% of our service delivery is directly with Hanover residents, which we hope to continue to operate at no expense to the participants. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for Kate? Seeing it. Kate, thanks for all that you do for the community that you serve. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your support.
Public Health Council, please raise your hand. Did listen. We did headrest.
We did Grafton County.
Yep. Not yet. Is CASA? I don't know if that's
Actually, yeah.
it's pretty small.
There it is.
Yep.
CASA, Tara. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Funny you mentioned the snowstorm last year. I was one that came in, and this year my kids are sick, so I'm keeping the germs to myself. Thought I would spare you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for funding CASA. I know we had received funding several years ago, and then we were welcomed back into the budget last year. We greatly appreciate it. Like every other nonprofit, it's been tough fundraising. And so having Hanover include us in the town budget, while small, it does make a big difference. CASA is currently advocating for 4 kiddos from the town of Hanover. We have 8 residents of Hanover that are CASA volunteer advocates working in Hanover and the surrounding areas. And they step up and they're the voice for the kids in court. And they're the people that tell the child story. They're only there for the kids. And so they are oftentimes the only constant in the kid's life, and support from the town makes sure that they are trained and available when needed. Are there any questions that I can answer?
Questions for Tara? No. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to jump around now. I'm going to permit Alice Ellie.
From
Public Health Council of the Upper Valley, page 54.
Thank you, Carrie.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Alice. We can hear you. You're good to go.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
I shut her off.
hang on.
Technology. Talk. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, I've done that.
Sorry about that.
All right. So thank you so much for your longstanding support for the Public Health Council. We're pleased to have been working with Hanover leaders and residents for many years and would like to point out that 2026 is our 25th anniversary year. In 2025, the Public Health Council and its many partners established clear priorities for the next 3 years, while also envisioning a longer-term investment that we need to strengthen the Upper Valley's public health infrastructure. A new strategic plan is deeply reinforced by findings from the 2025 Community Health Planning process, which brought forward a consistent message across many sectors. Our region's most pressing health issues stem not only from unmet needs, but from persistent organizational and systemic challenges. Fragmented communication, inconsistent access to care, and limited coordination across providers continue to hinder progress. Both our Community Health Improvement Plan and strategic planning process affirmed that the Public Health Council has what we have stood for since our founding, that no single organization or town can solve these complex challenges alone. As the only regional public health advisory council serving both New Hampshire and Vermont, we are uniquely positioned to bring partners together to address these shared obstacles. Beginning in 2026, we will lead a new phase of practical collaborative problem solving focused on strengthening coordinated care, addressing long-standing operational challenges, and aligning the region around common priorities identified in both our Community Health Improvement Planning and our strategic plan. We have 5 key goals for the next 3 to 5 years. I can answer questions about them, but I will just let you know what they are in the broad terms. One is expanding community education and engagement, addressing persistent health disparities in our region, strengthening municipal public health capacity, advancing innovation through a public health program incubator. For example, we serve as a fiscal sponsor for Windsor's community nursing program, and we can do that for other things. And then doing some internal organizational work to make sure that we have the capacity in terms of staffing and systems and governance to remain strong and meet needs as they arise. Thank you all for the support that you provide the Public Health Council. We look forward to working with you over the next year and into the future to address public health needs in our communities. And I'm happy to answer any questions or go into more detail in any area that you would like to hear more about.
Thank you, Alice. Questions on the Public Health Council of the Upper Valley?
Yeah, I was just wondering how far your mission goes. Is it about, and when we first talked about it, it was right off the heels of the pandemic. And it was really that we needed communication and coordination. And maybe in those 5 bullets, I heard a lot about coordinating care. But I guess I'm just wondering what other how are we tapping into like a larger public health infrastructure and understanding the public health threats to the Upper Valley?
Sure.
Like, is it more about care or is it more like a public health lens? And
right. So I generally bring a public health lens to questions of coordinating care. So the Public Health Council is not likely to get into the business of actually coordinating care, but for example, and this may sound trivial, but believe me, it's not. I'll have meetings with many partners across many different organizations and sectors. And, you'll hear from the service coordinator people, well, I need a resource guide that I can give out to my clients so that they know how to get the help that they need. Or I just want a list of all the places they can go. And I know that many of these organizations actually have staff. If they're lucky, they use an intern and they create paper lists that say organizational names, programs, eligibility requirements, who do you call? And yet we know that these lists, as soon as you publish the list, then the information is out of date. And so it's this constant churning. And I think that I want to understand more how much time and energy is put into doing that. And then why are the systems that are supposed to be doing this, like 211s, not meeting people's needs? So it takes a public health approach to say, why in the 15 years that I've been doing this work, are people still saying the same thing over and over again? I need help with resources. So it's not that the resources aren't there, it's that we haven't created a good system where everybody kind of knows, how can we do this together better in a way that's sustainable and consistent, and we're not just spending hours and hours and hours updating resource guides all the time. There are some other systemic issues that I'm just trying to say. Over the last 15 years, people keep saying, we have a problem with, we want more community nursing, and we do, but then there's these questions of, well, how is that actually going to work best? I'm not going to get in the way of the Community Nurse Connection project, but I think we can, at the community level, since support for older adults is there again, how do we make sure that all of these different systems that are out there with the visiting nurses and community nurses, but other things, how do we make sure that they are understanding what seniors really do need and making sure that it's as close to them in particularly rural communities and pockets in our communities as we possibly can? Does that answer your question?
Yes. I guess a follow-up question is just, do we have public health infrastructure outside of like our hospitals to know, say, when there's a disease outbreak or when we have like an environmental concern? Does that flow?
Yeah, so I completed a public health needs assessment for the city of Lebanon last year, but we were looking at issues that were a little broader. And if you would like me at any point to come and talk about that public health needs assessment and what is potentially applicable for a town like Hanover as well, I'm happy to do it. But, in that particular case, what we did was we looked at core public health functions and broke it out in terms of where the capacity is to really do that work. And communicable disease, it's a word, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to say, rests almost entirely within the state of New Hampshire. And we did have conversations about, what's working and what's not working within that system. And so the folks at the local level are not really feeling confident, and that's in Lebanon. I can't speak for what your folks would feel, confident that you're always getting the best information in a timely manner. It's a chain of communication that is easily broken. And I'm not sure what we can do at the community level to fix it, but being aware of where the vulnerabilities are, I think, could be a first step to understanding what we might be able to do to fix it. Because New Hampshire is very different than Vermont in terms of disease outbreaks and things like that. And the hospitals are the ones, but the hospitals are not really going to independently, broadcast to the community that there's been a disease outbreak, because that's the state's role.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Thank you, Alice.
You're welcome.
let's see, I think VNA, Valley Court Diversion, and WISE are still out there in theory.
And youth in action.
And youth in action in theory also, yes.
Should we just do a big, anyone out there?
Anyone out there who has not presented their budget, please use the raise your hand icon. Excuse me. I see no one with their hand raised and no one responded to my oh, excuse me.
Okay. All right, thank you to all of our social service agencies for coming tonight, for being on Zoom for some of you. We appreciate it. Appreciate all that you do for our community. So thank you so much. Unless there are any last minute hands ups, Rob, we will move on.
Can we just let these guys know?
Yes.
So would it be safe to say this is like the first reading? We take all this information in. It'll be part of our budgeting process, and we'll get back to you to, it ultimately will be a budget vote in May, but we'll take your requests and put them into our budget. So it'll be over the course of the next couple months.
Yes.
But it's nice to have you here.
May have a staff recommendation to consider before we finalize the budget. So that should be coming, maybe even shortly, we'll see. But thank you so much. We appreciate it. Okay. You can stick around. We have some other exciting things to talk about if you want.
Go, guys, go.
Yes.
You don't have to stay.
All right.
You can watch it on cable,
I can't wait to get out in the freezing cold.
Okay, so we turn next to Town Manager Monthly Report. Do we want to go to, Ordinance 38, Fair and Impartial Policing? Yes, I'm good. I passed over that. Okay. All right. So for members of our viewing audience, we held a public hearing on November 3rd to discuss potential changes to ordinance number 38, Fair and Impartial Policing Ordinance. That review was prompted by the passage earlier this year of a new state law, New Hampshire RSA 106P, that requires that local policing ordinances do not hinder cooperation with federal immigration authorities in cases where an individual is already legally detained for a state crime. I guess I've made this statement before, I'll say it again, just to be clear, Hanover is not responsible for enforcement of federal immigration laws, which are civil in nature, not criminal matters. Nonetheless, and despite their civil nature, under the new law, detainers issued by federal immigration authorities for inmates, which are those already under arrest or in jail, must be honored by local police. So at issue tonight, after this, I think this is maybe the fifth time we've discussed this, fourth or fifth, is how best to respond to the new law, which unusually carries both financial penalty and potential legal action against the town and its officials. So we've, Rob, you have queued up some language on the back of our meeting 2 weeks ago. Would you like to maybe just describe that in the context of our prior meetings, and then we can talk about it? You've got it on the screen. Excellent. Okay.
The difference between the public hearing language and the language proposed tonight is in Roman 6, partially on the screen. Reinserting A and B, which is the existing language, and inserting new language C, which was the purpose of the public hearing language, and deleting the old C from the ordinance, and then deleting all of 7 as per inserting new language in 7 and deleting the balance of it, consistent with the public hearing. Council's reviewed this and has found it compliant with the statute, and all of this information was presented at the public hearing in one form or So new C was the only thing in 6 originally, and we were striking A and B. We're reinserting A and B and moving the language down to C, the new language.
And importantly, A and B provide some legal context with respect to federal immigration actions in the context of the law. And I think, I won't speak for the board, but I think we had a fair amount of support that it was important to make those statements.
I think it was. I agree with you.
Rather to keep those statements. They were pre-existing statements. We decided that
They should not be deleted.
not be deleted, and council indicated that they are entirely lawful.
So I apologize for not being here last month. I did watch it on CATV or Jam. It was long.
We had a lot of
Really interesting
very
engagement.
interesting people, a lot of interested people. With a lot of well thought out comments. And all of which is appreciated. I think we have some difficult decisions to make, but to me, it's pretty clear that this, forgot what option we're thinking about, is this 3 or 4 of our original language, is the way to go.
I think this is 3, right?
I think you're right, yeah.
Or like 5 that were.
It's kind of a variation on 3 from the original proposal. I want to thank Carolyn Gordon, who did kind of an informal survey of some at-risk population that, basically indicated in the context of the original public hearing, support for options 3, 4, which is essentially where we're coming out as well.
I know not everyone is going to agree with our decision, but we have to find the right way to go. We have to find that fine line between all of the issues that we're dealing with. And I think this is appropriate, reasonable and appropriate.
I concur.
You concur? Okay.
I mean, I did, during my time away, I did actually talk to a number of people and even one of our representatives. And there was a sense that, the majority of the House voted. There were only a few people who did not vote in support of this language, which is interesting. At the state level, I never did look up exactly how many. I was like, oh, well, that's interesting.
It is
interesting.
Clarified with Russ and with Mary and Ellen, and then looked up the vote. And
What was it?
well, originally there was a 361 to 5 vote,
Yeah.
but it ended up being a partisan vote.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and they're all, they all understand the predicament of the state law,
Yeah.
but they do not support either bill.
Okay.
But there was some like harm reduction put in the bill where it's not mandated that you have, we're coming out of like town meeting, we were asked, or that actually the select board wasn't asked, the police and the town manager were asked to not engage in 287G. That was like the vote, right? So I think like that's one framing to start with.
What would you say again?
Our town meeting has provided very clear directive, right? Which then became illegal based on the new laws. 106 reads pretty differently than you read it, than you described it, which is really about not having us prohibit our police from entering into 287G. And they define inmate differently as well. just for, I think like the words end up really mattering. I really appreciated our council taking the time to walk through a lot of the language here and give us a lot of background. I do think it's important that we are consistent with the language so that people don't get the wrong ideas about what things mean.
Are you supporting?
I'm just clarifying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thoughts with respect to the proposed language?
I think it makes it compliant with state law and doesn't, in that it doesn't direct our police. And it's very clear that we still have other laws, both at the state and federal level, that the police also should be in compliance with.
Jared, thoughts?
Bottom line up front is I would support this. I do support it. Still think keeping A and B creates a little, has the potential to create some confusion for our law enforcement personnel. Because I just feel like A and B is saying that, you know, you don't have to follow these ICE detainers. And then in C, we say, oh, but you do. So going back to our last meeting, our option 2 was just getting rid of A and B. Option 3 was keeping A and B and then adding C. And as I said last time, I would prefer option 2, but I'm okay with option.
I'm turning to the language because I hadn't thought that it represented a point of confusion, but
yeah. Well, the thing that I say I don't love about it, or the area that I think could create confusion is this kind of right in the middle. ICE detainers are mere requests, not commands. Under federal law, local law enforcement agencies are not required to hold anyone based on an ICE detainer. Accordingly, many courts have ruled that local law enforcement officials violate the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution when they temporarily detain an individual for immigration violations without probable cause of criminal conduct based on ICE detainers. So, we're kind of saying you don't have to follow it. It might be a violation of the Constitution or the Fourth Amendment. And in C, we say, if you do receive one, then you shall comply.
But it might well be a reflection of where we're at. We are. C is very clear.
Yeah.
And that there are some legal questions.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it is a way for us to say we don't agree with some of the actions that we've seen in our federal government, but we're still going to comply with state law.
We turn to, with the permission of the select board, if I may, to any members of the public who might wish to address the select board on this issue. There are 8 online. We have 8 online. Okay.
But we have people in the audience, so
yes,
let's see
sorry.
if there's anyone in the audience that wants to
Anyone
speak.
like to make a comment? No. Okay. All right. Nancy, did you want to make a? No. Okay. All right. All right. Let's turn to Zoom.
Anybody wishing to speak to the select board? Thank you, Sharon. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that. So I recall, I did write that I supported option 4, and I remembered that Carrie thought that when we left the meeting the last time, that he was leaning towards 3, and I hear you say 2. What is the option 4 was to remove all the language about ICE detainers, because in my mind, there's no reason to reiterate a law, whether we agree with it or not. It's a law that we're being told we have to follow. Why? What is the need to put it in this document that is actually a fair and impartial policing document? It is not about ICE. When we wrote this version in Norwich, we didn't include any of the legal language of, the Justice Department or anything like that. We just made it a fair and impartial policing document. And if you would delete it, doesn't that absolve you of us of any, alleged crime?
So was that last, was the last thing you said? Does it absolve us?
Doesn't it absolve if we remove all of the, the ICE detainer information, all the ICE paragraphs, and just leave it as a welcoming, fair and impartial policing document? The guidance is already, there isn't very clear guidance. We could see that from the last meeting. Even I think council thinks that, she's not entirely sure. And what I'm hearing is that we don't agree with federal law. We have to follow this very illegal and seems like unconstitutional thing. Why put it in this document? Why not make it just a fair and impartial policing document where other towns probably have something like that and they're not in trouble?
Well, I have a thought, which is that it brings clarity to expectations so that there is not some suggestion that, what will happen in Hanover? Well, so adding, the language in number C makes it clear what will happen. So otherwise, I think there's not clarity either for, potentially for law enforcement, but also for visitors and residents, people in Hanover. What I think, having bright lines of engagement and protection are important. If it's not said, it's potentially misunderstood.
We don't define rationally sufficient, we don't take the time to define all that. We talked about last time, just removing C, right? And at the very end, we're like, well, what if we just put all this language back in, right? But the option presented to us was without the new C. It was just with C gone. And Laura Spector Morgan, our counsel, was very clear, A and B is factually correct. It's not a statement of procedure or value. That is what an ICE detainer is. And no one has disputed that. And it even came up in the House bill, 511 was sort of part of their definition. So I don't think that's I know you can read it and say oh, that's a lot. That seems like it's a smack in the face to ICE. It's not. That's just what it is. You can't pretend that it's something that it's not. But that's different than, Sharon's also suggesting just taking out A and B too. But what was presented last time as an option was just not having C, which to me is a little clearer, but.
C was actually the new A. There was no C, B and C. That's true. Yeah. And after the discussion by the board, we reinserted A and B. I think it was you, Jenny, that pointed out that it was just a factual statement. It should be legal. We had that, and then I moved A down to C. So the public hearing included what is now C.
One other kind of issue I had, in the preamble, number 3. One second to find it here. Yep. So number 3 of the preamble, I'll just read the whole thing. If an undocumented individual is stopped, detained, arrested, or otherwise held based on reasonable suspicion of criminal conduct, this is the important part. The individual shall be processed in the ordinary course of the law enforcement conduct and the criminal justice system, and the individual shall not be detained or otherwise held any longer than otherwise necessary in the ordinary course of law enforcement conduct and the criminal justice system. So I think there's a problem there with preamble number 3 and conflicting with what we're saying in 6C and 7.
We even need,
I don't think we do. But I would.
it doesn't seem to add anything. I know it's part of the preamble, and the preamble sets the stage, but it doesn't add anything to further.
And we're getting rid of 5 too.
Yeah.
I mean, the fair policing ordinance, I think, is also to uphold like RSA 594 about arrest and detention authority, which we also have to obey, where we don't, detain someone for longer than we're supposed to. Like, that investigative stops have to be brief, right? That there has to be a probable cause for a criminal offense. And that you can only be detained for the processing and while being delivered to court. And then we also have to follow RSA 597 for bail and release, right? This is part of fair policing, right? That we don't overhold people. That police must release a person as soon as bail is posted, if charges are dismissed, and if they are eligible, basically, for release. And then we also have, the Fourth Amendment that protects against various search and seizure, which we have a constitutional obligation to uphold, which I believe the fair policing is geared towards upholding that. So I think that's what, that is about. So I'm not sure if we want to take out the fair policing part of our fair policing ordinance.
Well, I don't think we're taking out the fair policing part. I just think to me, it's pretty clear that number 3 says you can't hold somebody any longer than otherwise necessary in the ordinary course of law enforcement conduct in the criminal justice system. And then later on, we say an ICE detainer, you can continue to hold somebody in accordance with the detainer.
But one's criminal and one's civil, right?
Well, if it's legally permissible and safe to do so. So it's not safe to do so if it's violating the law, because that puts our town at risk, at legal risk for violating human rights or these other rights that they have to not be detained.
So I think it's, this gets a little tricky because at the tail end of 3, depending on how you read it, held any longer than otherwise necessary in the ordinary course of law enforcement conduct and the criminal judicial system, that may give you a sort of, unless there's a civil matter and an accompanying detainer, in which case. So I don't know. It might be worth passing that by council again to make sure that she's comfortable with the preamble, that number 3. I would think it might it might be worth just double checking. Nancy, did you, sorry,
How do
go
we
ahead.
feel? Do we feel like it should stay in there?
The more I read it, the less I see a problem with it. I see what you're saying, Jerry. The more I read it, the less problem I see with it. And what I see here is sort of setting the stage, and then later on we, define a subset, a special case. See how it can be called out as contradictory. But
Council didn't call it out.
no, she didn't. She's reviewed this like 6 times.
But I think if we were to come to some sort of consensus tonight to leave this in, I would maybe caveat and ask Rob to circle back with Laura and just take another look at number 3 and just make sure that she's comfortable. That would be one approach. I mean, I would be comfortable with that for proviso.
Okay.
Nancy, did you want to comment?
Nancy
Yes.
Carter, Hanover. I've just been curious, are we taking all of this time and being so careful because, excuse me, we imagine a target on our backs as a town more so than other towns in the surrounding area or in Vermont? And have we heard anything about other people in Hanover or in the college community or whatever, testing all of this when we get done and say, this is where Hanover stands? And then will people come forward and say, yes, but? Just a matter of curiosity on my part.
In my opinion,
Yes.
I mean, we were one of, 4 towns that were identified with the target on our back as sanctuary towns. We're not,
Yes,
we don't
yes.
see ourselves as sanctuary. This is very impartial policing. And yeah, I think we're responding to state law that was passed.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, we're
Yes.
trying to make sure that our policy is clear in this ordinance in terms of what we believe in. But we also, are governed by state and federal laws. And so trying to find a balance that, we're willing to be a target. I think what freaked me out of one of the first meetings was that, New Hampshire's 90% white, Hanover 70% white.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like there's this big red target on Hanover in terms of ICE and others, that's just my gut. And so I want to make sure that we are doing what our community, what we believe in within new state law.
But nobody's heard anything specifically about folks waiting till our dust is settled and then coming over and
I don't know
taking
what
a
you,
case against us or anything.
well, I mean,
Law doesn't take effect until January.
January 1.
I'm aware of that. January 1's. Count the days.
No one's sharing their plans with us,
Yeah.
as you might expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can say that our police department has been informed that they would not be eligible for certain state grants with the current.
Oh, gosh, yes. I'm sure they've known about it for a couple months now.
Did they get more than we always sign that one grant for stops around 2,000. Do they get more grants than that? Sometimes they do it for vests or.
I think there's a financial support for additional police officer and the AG's office that we weren't.
But have we ever?
Yes.
Is there anyone else raising their hand?
No one online has raised their hand. Is there anybody in the audience present?
So what's the plan? Are we moving forward with?
Well, we could move forward tonight, or we could move forward next week, but that's our last opportunity.
Okay.
I think if there is a consensus, and I kind of feel like there's a consensus, but that's a question mark, then we could potentially vote tonight. And that would, I think if we're in a position to do that, we could do that.
Laura Spector Morgan walks through a little bit this idea of an inmate in custody and references like some case law. Do you think we need to define custody if we're going to include C? There is this line at the end that mentions consistent with state and federal law, which invokes other laws that define custody.
Are you in the ordinance 38? What document are you looking at?
Ordinance 38, 6C.
The
6C.
proposed 6C, yeah.
Very last sentence reads, detention only may be prolonged if safe to do so and consistent with state and federal law.
We had a long discussion about how 106P did not define custody. And we have definitions at the beginning. Do we need to define that, or?
And Laura's email
References that just that it's defined in other laws and case law.
yes, so it's not a short way to answer that question, but are you suggesting that that would be a substantial chunk of text, because I don't think there's a short answer to it. It's based on Laura's response.
I mean, it's defined in other laws and not too many words about whether you're held for over 24 hours or booked into a correctional facility, which is pretty specific, and that's pretty much it. That's like a sentence.
I don't know. I haven't done any research on this, so.
If she says that's the definition of, she didn't offer up the short definition of custody.
She referenced that there's also case law.
Right.
But yeah, the point is that it's not defined, and then we're gonna use this word that's not defined, and that's not defined in RSA 106P. I guess my thought was sort of along the lines of Susan, is like, why have C? That
The lines of Susan, who's Susan?
Susan refused. Sharon, sorry, Sharon.
It's like, wait a minute, did I miss something? I could have.
Sorry, I just said the wrong name. Rhymes with raccoon.
It does.
Just picking that. Yeah, just because the words that aren't defined are custody and actually sufficient. And maybe that's so obvious.
So, okay, so we can go to next week and try and come up with definitions of custody and facially deficient. Sufficient, yes.
The ask of the board would be to take action tonight.
Yeah.
With the intent to come back and address those issues when time allows.
Okay.
It'll be a difficult lift to get you a response in time for Monday.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and
In addition to get you a packet.
Yeah,
And
you're right. It's a very short turnaround time. Yeah.
I think that is an ask. which would, it's gonna be difficult to answer.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Hi.
Can you please come forward and if you could identify yourself and where you live, please?
Hi, my name is Rowan. I am a student at Dartmouth. I had just a couple questions. So from what I understand, the issue at hand is that under the current language is not in compliance and that it's taking a step to remove this language is not necessarily signing on to a 287G agreement, and that's within more of the scope of the police department. Is that correct?
Yes, to be in compliance, we can't direct the police to not engage in the 287G.
Has the Hanover Police Department said anything to indicate that they would sign on to a 287G agreement? Has that been directly asked of them, and have they said anything? Would it be possible to make that ask of them to gauge whether or not they would sign an affirmation of a 287G agreement?
So we cannot direct. What I would say is, and I would ask Rob to amplify this and or correct it, is that the police have worked hard to build bridges to certain communities that potentially feel threatened in the current environment. And it's important to the police that those communication bridges remain active. I don't know, Rob, if you want to add to that.
Absolutely. First, the select board set a policy, and this language, while it cannot direct them, certainly guides the town manager and his colleagues. I can't direct them either under the statute, but the policy is our guidance to carry out. And the police department for more than 10 years has worked building bridges. And it's important to realize that the most at-risk population will not report crimes and will be subject to crime because of their fear of police. And our concern is that exact issue. And we've seen it on campus in the past and elsewhere. I'm not concerned about our police department. They've committed to this ordinance and the language that it has, but we cannot direct them.
I'm affiliated with Co-Fired as well as Upper Valley Immigration Solidarity Network. Co-Fired is an organization on campus that has supported undocumented and non-citizen students since 2014. Something that we are noticing is that when these detentions are happening, a number of people who are affiliated with the organization have had family members detained, and there's a lot of need to provide legal support and assistance. So maybe something that the town can do is, even though these policies are going into effect and you want to stay in compliance with state policy, if there are more steps the town can be taking to develop other mechanisms of supporting impacted communities. Specifically, we are supporting the family of a recent alum who is detained, is dealing with a severe medical neglect, is dealing with what I would consider to be, and I think the historical record will note to be, human rights violations. And in order to go through the process of trying to get him a lawyer and getting him out of detention, it's going to cost upwards of $14,000. Do you think the town would be in support of taking more steps to provide or contribute to legal assistance funds to support impacted communities who are very concerned about their rights and their human rights being violated by ICE's actions?
I think that's a good question.
It's an interesting thought. I think we need to think about that, but thank you for bringing it forward. It's a way to, ameliorate some of the hardship. Understood.
I think while having statements included are very important, noting that disagreement with ICE's actions, it's really important to be rooting our actions in material impacts. And so if there's any way the town can be providing more material support to impacted communities, I think that would be more than just a show of inclusion and support to the community, but also, taking material steps to support that, speaking from a student perspective, I think many of the students who have been involved in and impacted by ICE's actions tend to be low-income students for a variety of reasons. And so there's a lot of need financially to support those students, especially when they're at risk of legal implications from detention.
How is Co-Fired organized? I've been following their work, but I don't know much about the structure.
Yeah, so we're a student group, but we also work with a lot of groups within the Upper Valley community. So we work through SHARE as well. And that's typically how we are able to receive money and distribute it to impacted communities.
I didn't.
SHARE.
SHARE.
Yeah. But yeah, and they're a registered nonprofit.
So, I mean, I think how the budget works is we actually put together a budget, and so if there's requests, I mean, you've sat through the 12 social service organizations that request money. And, we can't just spend money unless the town voters have authorized it at May town meeting. So, I mean, that's the process. So if there's a, could bring that to the board. But it has to be an organization generally, like if it's SHARE or what was it called?
Co-Fired is the student group.
Yeah.
The important part about the ask is documenting how it benefits the taxpayers of Hanover. The challenge with tax dollars is they're constrained.
It's benefiting the residents and the residents.
They're constrained. Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification.
So I don't know if you were following along the way the presentation worked. It would be like this number of people have received services, and they've received this direct amount of services. And then the ask is typically around 10%. The exception being like the couple ones that were funding formulas, because we pay into like a support network that benefits the Upper Valley based on population.
Thank you, Ron. No. Thank you. All right. Any other members of the community? Yes, okay, office.
No, I forgot you were asking the community. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm not seeing any, so office.
So just to clarify, Rob, your thought is to suggest we act.
I'm encouraging the board to take an action tonight.
And then we can revise it if need be.
We can always revisit this ordinance at any future date, but we won't have the opportunity to accomplish much change between now and Monday.
Did you have a suggested?
Is it okay if I make a motion? I move we adopt proposed amendments to ordinance 38, fair and impartial policing as presented to ensure the ordinance remains consistent with the current New Hampshire law. Specifically, the recent enactment of RSA's 106P and continues to reflect the town of Hanover's commitment to equitable and constitutional policing practice.
Says, thank you.
Is there a second?
That's too far away.
I'll second it.
Joanna seconds. Further discussion? Seeing none. Oh.
Can we say effective January 1st, 2026?
January 1 or 12/31?
Either one.
Doesn't matter. Okay. All right.
I think there's like a nanosecond between them.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
You guys don't see a benefit of just removing all of the ICE references?
I don't. I think it's important to leave it in, but that's just more of a.
It doesn't change the state law to remove.
No, it doesn't, but it sets up where we are. Or where we think we are. In terms of,
You'd remove all of 6. That's what you're thinking.
Well, yeah, I mean, during the last meeting, one of the options was just to not have
Section 6.
what is now section 6C. And that's where I was, but there's also a case to be made. To just remove references to ICE. I also think it's like worth clarifying what the ICE detainers are.
Aaron, how did you land? So you were raising kind of this challenge, this conflict.
I still don't really like the conflict that exists, whether we continue with the motion that's on the table. I almost think it's worse if we were to completely delete 6 and 7 without touching the preamble. Because at least if we were to leave 6C in there, it's very clear what our police department are to do if they receive the detainer. Whereas if we get rid of those completely, like all references to ICE, then that item 3 in the preamble is, yeah, it gives guidance not to. So I think if we were to get rid of 6 and 7, we also have to do some surgery on the preamble as well. Sorry, where's my voice?
Which makes it very challenging to have something by January.
Yes.
So if we approve this now,
Yeah.
maybe we come back to it at our second.
That's the thing, is that I think if we were to continue and approve it, right, we're good, we're in compliance, and then if we want to continue to
Tweak it.
we can.
And what you're thinking is perhaps get rid of 6, tweak the preamble, and maybe part of 7. Yeah.
Also, I think it's taking up a lot of time.
yeah, be nice to have it, it'd be nice to have it in the books.
Yeah, I don't know how valuable it is compared to, I shouldn't say that, that sounds bad to say something, but I think we can play around with this and wordsmith it for the next 3 years if we wanted to, at the expense of actually getting things done. We talked about and prioritized our OCR or OKRs. And this, I don't believe was. I kind of want to just slap the table on this thing and keep.
There is a motion and it's been seconded, so unless there's any further commentary, sounds like we consensus here is to move forward on this and potentially revisit some of the language and when council has time. Okay. You need to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that is unanimous. Thank you, Rob.
Rob, thank you for, you've done, I know, hours and hours and hours on this, and you really guided us through it. Thank you.
It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you very much.
And it has been a very serious discussion.
It's been a great discussion and
It's hard.
Yeah. Okay, thanks,
Thank you.
Rob. Ian, thank you for the public
Thanks for the
coming out and
engagement, yeah.
speaking. Appreciate it. Should we turn now to the town manager monthly report?
I'll move quickly through this, given the time. I had the opportunity to attend the New Hampshire Municipal Association's annual meeting. I must admit, this was the first time in 40 years, and I was pleasantly surprised at how productive it was.
That doesn't say much. You're on TV, be careful.
I know. I actually had the opportunity to spend some quality time with our town council also, who was one of the co-sponsors of the event. So it was helpful on both the programming front and the connections that I was able to make. Parks and Rec, we still have a few vacancies, grounds, landscape manager, the interviews are underway. Second round is this week. The OST program manager remains a difficult position to hire. We'll be revisiting that conversation shortly. Summer camp registration starts January 9th.
Wow. Okay, right.
CAS is still short-staffed. Full-time administration and program staff are needed. Ground downtown holiday decoration is complete. 8 small Christmas trees were decorated by the downtown businesses. Turkey trot held on November 23rd. 309 participants. 171 pounds of food were donated to the Haven. And we had a support by Rani Realty that sponsored the timing chip that had a $500 value. Upcoming events, Home for the Holidays, which has passed, was last weekend, and with snowy mini pancakes. And there are more events planned.
There's a lot of clever marketing.
Snow mini, yeah. Staffing, the 2 new fire department, 2 new employees are completing their probationary period. We have 1 firefighter out on long-term disability, injury leave, and that'll continue through the spring. Car 1 was replaced. The previous car 1 has been reassigned to the Etna station to serve as a utility vehicle for calls that aren't fire related. So if we have an EMS call, that's set up for a quick response. And it's typically our call firefighters that would use that vehicle. Most of which live in Etna. Engine 4 was sold at auction, and fortunately it was sold relatively local to Plainfield Fire Department for $50,000.
Does this mean we have an additional fire car then?
We have old car 1 was supposed to be traded in. And instead of rolling the fire truck at Etna, the chief and I had a conversation about holding on to old car 1 and moving it over to the fire station in Etna so that it can be used for a call response for non-fire related activities. So the answer is yes, we have an extra car.
Little insurance, but now you can take a little vehicle instead of a big vehicle. Yeah. You have your big vehicle ready for fires.
Yeah.
It's like an expedition or something, right?
It is an Explorer. Whatever the big one is. Public Works, we have 2 vacancies, utility technician, interviews ongoing, and a highway light equipment operator or heavy equipment operator, and interviews are ongoing. A lot of training with our staff, kudos for them, time. It's pretty impressive to see what they're squeezing in given the workload that they have. I won't go through everything. Grove Trail bid was completed. It came in above the budgeted money, $300,000 plus, $102,400 above. And we are submitting a CIP project to see if we can cover that gap.
That if we don't cover that gap, we're on the hook. We're
either
funds or something.
Scaling the project and getting DOT approval, which would be a trail that terminates on one end or the other, or fundraising. Highway, winter sand and salt stockpile, ditches are clearing is ongoing. Dartmouth College, environmental engineering toured our wastewater treatment plant, our water reclamation plant, and 2 representatives from Brenton Woods Resort also toured it to look at our software program. We're at 90% design completion for the nutrient removal upgrade, spring 2026 construction bid is expected. Our software integration is underway. We have 2 new Class 2 industrial pretreatment users licensed. That's basically non-residential users. They have to monitor what goes into their waste stream and treat it so that we're not having to deal with it at the end and then impact our permit. And the EPA, I want to flag this for everyone, the EPA new medium general permit for discharge will require monitoring. That will have a financial impact down the line because it's not a requirement right now.
But down the line, as in February 1st, or?
Probably within 10 to 4 years. It's the nitrogen limits that we'll have to meet that will trigger the financial impact. Water, Hanover Fire toured the facility with their newest staff to get them acquainted with the facility. New Hampshire DES visited the water treatment plant on November 6th. We provided training. We hosted the Granite State Rural Water Association class, and we featured the membrane filtration and other technologies. Pete made a presentation on the history of the plant entitled Hanover Milestones to Membrane, meaning before the treatment plant, it was direct source untreated water from the water treatment.
Not from the wastewater.
Water treatment plant.
It came from the upper mountains, not the Connecticut River.
Another project that we've been working collaboratively with Oak Hill is to put a siphon in to provide them with water to the pond when available, when the pond level is too low to make snow. And that's installed and working. Nelson Reservoir 3 spillway clean, flashboard replaced. And we're at 2,300 meters of the total 1900 that need 1,236 meters of the 1,900 that need to be replaced, have been replaced. New equipment's arrived, the backhoes that were approved by town meeting. The generator tests for all of our generators are underway. Make sure that they're functioning properly. Facilities, town hall. Some of you may have noticed a roll-off recycling dumpster in our parking lot. The switchover did not go as planned. Liberty made an error in approving the design. We are not able to switch over until an upgrade is made. Right now, the parking lot lights and the compactor and the security camera are out in the back lot because it's fed by this building and it can't get to that transformer right now. They will fund all the expenses incurred, overtime, swap over, everything. So that's in the works. Our hope is that it's resolved within a week. Phase 1 of the Lebanon garage is complete. Phase 2 is underway. All decks are reopened. CO monitoring systems are underway. They're flying in Thursday to launch and commission that new system. So our CO detection will be operational. In addition, we discovered in doing all this work that part of 7 Leb, which is owned by Dartmouth College, was powered on our side of the meter, meaning we were funding power since it was constructed. So that's been removed from the town circuit. 4 level 2 EV chargers have been installed at Public Works garage, and new carpet has been installed at Town Hall, RW Black, and the Howe Library, the entrance carpets. CPCNH is hiring a new director. That's underway. The information on they've offered to the community and to their members is provided here. The last item, I believe, is the Etna Library, and the most important thing I want to report out is the success of the pie sale. 40 pies were donated. It raised over $8,800. So kudos to them for this ongoing tradition. That concludes the town manager. Questions?
Thank you, Rob. Questions, Rob? Thank you for all that detail. Yes, Nancy.
Can anyone explain the outpouring of sentiment about the Etna Library
We learned today.
We learned tonight.
We learned,
that the librarians have asked
yeah,
specifically, because we have never been parsimonious in our support for them. They have no reason to believe that we will be so in this budget cycle.
yeah, Carrie explained that, I think at our last meeting, Nancy, but
I apologize for.
no, it's, that's not why I brought that up. I don't mind listening to these stories.
Oh, no, they're heartwarming, but I simply don't understand. And I'm not about to, as part of how corporations suggest that,
You know,
the how people come and.
We have, our agendas, as you've seen, are pretty lengthy. And
Yes.
the more times and people come in,
Yeah.
the more likely I am to say, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And we believe in libraries and we've always supported them, so.
Right. No, and that's, so anytime they come, I wanna know, what's going on that we should be, well, the answer is nothing.
Yes,
Well-
yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes. And if you could identify yourself, please. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Zariah, 2 Grand Lane. I was just real quick wondering about the how libraries retaining wall. We did the budget on that in, I believe, May. I haven't heard any updates with the construction.
Okay, well. All right, Jewish.
The topics of libraries.
Yeah, on the topic of library, yeah, okay.
And I
Don't know
can
about
report
the
out
retaining wall,
because
yeah,
I
I'm not,
didn't
not sure, just.
I didn't think the retaining wall was in last year's budget, but it was talked about, yeah, this
FY 26.
FY 26.
So we're doing the construction for the how libraries. We allocated a lot of money.
I'm at a loss for the reference that we approve funding for the retaining wall.
It's okay, I can send an email.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, all right, anything else on the back of the town manager report? Otherwise, we will move on to consent agenda items.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of
Of
course.
the town manager? I get an announcement from the Blitz, the town email Blitz that said water main broke in, it's, on South Main Street. What day was that? Last week?
yeah, last
Thursday,
week.
maybe?
Friday.
And I just, that's break number what?
On that road, yeah.
It'd be break number 8 on South Main since April.
So I just said, as we look to.
Yep.
I just think it's for our public, well, no, it's not
Yeah.
it's not a criticism of the town manager or staff. I mean, it's our infrastructure situation and it's our Main Street. So I just think that it's important that the community know that there's some big infrastructure issues that we think you're gonna need to address. Because we can't,
We have 2
Our community-
110-year lines in that street.
our businesses can't, that's challenging.
Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, if there's anything else, let's move on to the consent agenda. There are minutes of November 3rd, minutes of November 17th.
What, no. The agenda, you've only listed the 17th.
Is that right?
This one has both.
Huh?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's his version is sitting here.
Are you on the online version?
I'm on the online.
It's on the screen.
Well, what am I looking at?
Yes.
You people.
Any reason to take any of these items out? No, okay. All right. Is there a
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
second?
We're supposed to pull them
We
out.
should, actually, I wasn't here on the 17th, so I can't vote on a consent
On the consent agenda, we need to pull out the minutes
for November 7th.
for November 17th. All right.
Still have a quorum.
Yeah, you don't need me. You can do the whole thing without me, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm pushing you.
It's fine. I'm sorry.
Are you comfortable with
I'm
that?
totally
Okay,
comfortable
all
with
right.
that.
So any comments before we vote? No. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Joanne abstains. Many thanks to Julia Wyborn for donating $100 to the library. Okay. Board reports. Office.
Yes, last week in this boardroom, actually, no, I was on Zoom with it, Carrie was on Zoom, but Rob was here. We had the Trescott board meeting, with, just to remind everyone, there's 3 members of that board, 3 of whom are appointed by Hanover, and 3 of whom are appointed by the college with equal voting. And we had a, besides organizational meeting, we had a review, an initial review of our forest management plan. It hasn't been updated in 15 years, unfortunately. So there's a lot of thought we had. We had to put a lot of thought of that into that. We are going to revisit it sometime over the summer with some new objectives placed in it.
It's changed a lot in 15 years.
Yes,
Huge.
we talked about that a lot.
We can play in there.
Not just the recreation, but as Pete Kobaki and our forester Jeff were talking about, the forest itself has changed a lot too. One thing that's important to remind the public is that it is a forest and forests are managed, and we'll be doing, we have done and we'll continue to do harvesting, logging there. Not for a while, but probably around the year 2030, we're going to be doing further logging, maybe a little bit of harvesting between now and then, but major work will be done probably sometime in the 5 years surrounding 2030, which is, now that there's recreation in there, it's going to be a bit of an issue, we're going to have to remind people that it's an active managed forest, not a.
It's a multi-use space.
Yeah. Just like right now, we have a lot of hunters up there, so we've had to remind our recreational, non-hunting recreational users to follow pragmatic rules of deal with space.
Thank you, Alice.
Just from a downtown group perspective, phenomenal collaboration between Parks and Rec and UVBA on Celebrate the Season. With a new director of UVBA, it was great to see everybody working together and step up. Town looks awesome. The Public Works Department and Public Works and Parks and Rec did a great job of decorating. We appreciate that. I wish we could get the businesses to put up the stars, but I'm still working on that. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, we had a CIPC meeting on November 21st. We had a public individual come forward, Sarah Yuckerman, I believe. Yuckerman of Aetna. Came forward with a proposal, which was well done, for a path between the Aetna Library crossing over to the Aetna store, sort of a 3-season path, potentially across to the road. So that was interesting, and I think relatively well received by the CIPC. So there will be more work coming there. And what else? There was a Hanover Finance Committee meeting. And just be aware that there are budget pressures on the school side of the tax equation, with the Hanover budget up 6% and the Dresden budget up 9.6%, and measures are being taken to reduce those budgets as the school board believes that those are unacceptably high. So, but there are some significant pressures on the school side.
Our numbers are down too, right?
The enrollment numbers are, I think sort of flat to down. Joanna, any reports?
There was a Powell Library Corporation meeting a week and a half ago, and I was unable to attend. There is one next week looking at space planning work that's coming in, so. Yeah.
The planning board meeting was rescheduled for snow. I'm not sure when it's happening.
16th. The next,
It's gonna be the 16th.
The 16th? Okay,
the 16th, it's
All right.
posted.
thank you.
This chair.
Yeah. And there's a CIPC meeting tomorrow, Friday here at 10 a.m. And we had a Hanover Bike Walk meeting earlier today where we talked about the Girlbrook Path a little, and we also talked a bit about the NPR 1A special that was about pedestrian fatalities off the Washington Post. And I just wanted to mention that I'm really grateful I live in Hanover. So basically the Washington Post did a deep dive on like why are pedestrian fatalities continuing to sort of skyrocket in the United States while every other developed country they've been decreasing dramatically, and why have all these cities that have adopted Vision Zero policies, why are they failing? And this is the quote that basically sums it up and says, according to the Post analysis and interviews with experts in traffic safety, Vision Zero's failures in more than 24 cities fit a predictable pattern. Motorists are hostile to measures that slow traffic and favor pedestrians. Local leaders give token or tepid support, and spending on pedestrian-friendly improvements is not prioritized. So the rest of the article is basically about how we know what saves lives, we know what serves a greater portion of the population, and we know what makes things more livable and healthy. And there's just a huge failure to act. And then they hold up the scant examples where there have been progress and they have taken action. So I'm really grateful that we're putting together the Shared Streets Vision Plan. The consultant, Carolyn Radish from Tool, will be back for another public meeting on Monday, January 12th, to develop that all ages walk, bike, transit network. And wants to focus on near-term capital improvements, which reminded me of one of our goals to put together that capital improvement program for walking, biking, and transit network so that we have a clear plan and so we continue to take action. I think that urgency is real. It really changes lives and changes futures if we invest in having a more livable environment where people can walk around like safely. So that was, hard to read how terribly our country is still doing with regard to this very solvable problem, but very heartening to know that we have been taking action and sort of moving forward on this. So that's what that was about.
It's great. Hey, can I just add? It's not a select board report, but it's something. So as I said, I watched the meeting that I missed on November 17th. And you realize when you watch, it's very different than when you experience it. And when we experience it here in particular, the public comment period of our meetings, we often have the same people telling us the same thing in the public comment period. And I'm just wondering, especially as we are embarking on kind of an intense meeting period in terms of budgeting, if we would perhaps consider only having public comment at one, not both meetings every month. So maybe the first meeting, the first select board meeting of the month, public comment, you know, continue at 5 minutes, or maybe we do something like, okay, maybe we do it both times, but maybe instead of having 5 minutes for comments, we go to 2 or 3 minutes. I don't know, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, here we go again. And that's not to say that I feel like we should be limiting public comments. It just feels like it's the same people doing the same thing. And so it's just just throwing out that idea, just because, as I said, we're going into budgeting long meetings, and as we've learned from the law, we don't have to have any public comment. I think we all feel like, I mean, there's no statute provision that says we have to have a public comment period. I think it's good practice, and I don't want to discourage community engagement. But we've now had, I think, 4 meetings in a row where we've had testimony in support of Aetna Library, which again, Ethos likes the stories, and that's fine, but it's 5 or 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes.
I wanted to ask what Spencer did at his craft thing. But
Yes, a Lego night, and I think it's awesome, and I think we support the libraries, and then we have our friend David Vincelette, and then sometimes we have, I forget the other guy with the white hat. Peter.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that people can express themselves, but I think it takes a fair amount of time. And tonight, over the weekend, we all went through 486 pages of pocket material. It's a lot of time. So I'm just throwing it out there, see what people think. And you can squash me, that's fine, but I figured we could have a little bit of a discussion.
I think the current system is a vast improvement for how things work. It functions. We know what we're going to get. Maybe during the budget meetings, it'd be reasonable to limit that.
Same time,
Yep,
we
continuing.
talked about trying to get more people to come to the budget meetings. I don't think saying we're not
Sure.
taking public comment
Sure.
is a great way to
Sure.
do that, but.
Well,
That's a good point.
no, the difference is that if it's a budget, it's on the agenda and talk about the budget.
At the line item for the
Yeah.
agenda.
No, I'm just talking about the open, anyone can comment on it.
Can I ask a question about this? Is it about repeats though?
Yeah.
Is it, because one of the things, I think it's hard to make a meeting, right? For a lot of people, so cutting that opportunity in half. We will lose people who would otherwise come. So maybe what you're talking about is not having the same person talk more than once a month.
Yeah.
That's
That
kind of
becomes even harder.
like the Valley News, like, doesn't let the same person publish an op-ed without so much time passing or something.
Would we lose people though? I don't know. Because I mean,
we can count on
right, other than the things that we've heard every single meeting, and the last couple where we've heard about the library. I can't recall a public comment.
We have a couple people.
Usually it's on a topic that we're discussing. It's not just coming to yell at the select
Swear
board.
at us, yeah.
I think it provides a little more time for us, and respecting the fact that, we put in crazy hours on multiple committees, not just the select board, but all the committees that we represent, and also, respectful of staff. So I think it provides a little bit of relief that I think would be welcome. if we did it maybe the first meeting of the month. And not the second, or something like that, but it doesn't really make a difference to that. So, member of the public, would you like to discuss this issue?
Yeah, I would like it if you didn't punish all of us because of David's actions. And I would really appreciate it if you considered maybe limiting each public comment to a certain time frame. Like, I hear the issue being largely David, and I understand why that could be, as I've seen that myself, but I strongly feel like you would be punishing the whole town by restricting one individual. So that's my.
Okay, thank you. And we do have a time limit of 5 minutes on that introductory.
It was 20 minutes today.
Well, yeah, it's multiple. Right.
So we started the meeting at 7:21, or after public.
Yeah.
And again, I agree. I want more engagement, but I also feel like we're being verbally harassed and assaulted.
I'm for keeping it. I sense the library issue is gonna diminish over time. And then we'll basically have one, maybe two per day. We'll certainly have one. We may have two.
Yeah. Nancy, you had a thought?
Yeah, in terms of behavior modification, I found it fascinating that as soon as your alarm goes off, party in question stands up and leaves. You know, when Peter Christie was here, there was a give and take about, well, why should I, leave my chair now and so forth. Your behavior modification with your phone is startlingly efficient.
Nancy, I would suggest that we talk in general terms.
Oh, I use the phrase one person. I apologize.
Well, variety of opinions. I mean,
And I was just throwing out an idea. And quite honestly, I never watched an entire select board meeting on Jam. And so it was an observation versus living it. I was watching it. It just felt like it's a lot of time. And maybe that last meeting was exceptionally long.
Well, there were a lot of people here. It was a long meeting.
Well, we don't have to decide tonight.
Yeah.
But it's an idea. Okay.
I've just put out, like, sometimes we move our meetings too. I don't think we should be cutting off an opportunity for public comment.
I can expect that.
I think that's it. Do we have a non-public?
We do not have a.
Yay.
All right. We have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All right. Second. All right. All those in favor?
Bye.
Aye. Thank you.
If the board would like. I have a 2-second tutorial on how to use.
No.
Community.
I would like. So
It's 2 seconds.
our webinar, I don't know if it's different than Jam, but our webinar